Yeah, but so there's still, I mean, it's crazy too because there's still more happening in court. Like, I mean, everything is still active, even though we're not hearing about it as much anymore. And the people may be fatigued, like we talked about prior.
What if one of the biggest figures in entertainment wasn't just a music mogul, but the mastermind of something far more sinister? The whispers surrounding Sean's Diddy Combs have grown into a roar, with allegations suggesting he's still pulling strings, even from behind bars. Could Diddy, a man who built his empire on charm, connections, and power, be using those very tools to silence key witnesses who threaten to unravel everything he's created? Let's dive deep into the tangled web of rumors, accusations, and shocking claims that paint a chillingly different picture of the once revered cultural icon.
Just incredible. And, it brings into context our whole system of innocent until proven guilty. Why is he not being given bond? We can debate that all day long. Of all people that's unlikely to flee or get away, he's got the resources to flee, but he's so recognizable. And isn't he innocent until proven guilty? Well, yeah, but we have to recognize there are degrees of innocence until proven guilty. When you have this much.
The first whispers began after Diddy was denied bail for the third time in late 2024, with judges citing a serious risk of witness tampering. But the real shock lies in the details behind that decision. Prosecutors allege that, even from inside a Brooklyn detention center, Diddy has been relentlessly working to manipulate the outcome of his trial. Court filings reveal he has been contacting witnesses through other inmates' phone privileges, orchestrating three-way calls, and even paying individuals, both inside and outside prison, to execute tasks on his behalf. The accusations paint a chilling picture of a coordinated effort to sway testimony, intimidate witnesses, and, in the most disturbing claim, possibly eliminate those who threaten his defense.
I could do anything.
One of the most shocking revelations came during a sweep of Diddy's jail cell, where authorities reportedly uncovered handwritten notes outlining plans to dig up dirt on accusers and referencing payments to silence key witnesses. Described in court as clear evidence of obstruction, these notes have ignited speculation about just how far Diddy might go to protect himself. Prosecutors argue that, combined with his alleged misuse of prison communication systems, this discovery reveals a disturbing pattern of control over the narrative surrounding his case. But how is Diddy managing to operate so effectively from behind bars? According to prosecutors, he has been exploiting loopholes in the prison's phone system, using accounts linked to other inmates to bypass restrictions on who he can contact. In return, he has reportedly been compensating these inmates through commissary funds and other means, ensuring their cooperation. Authorities claim these unauthorized calls have been used to relay instructions to his associates on the outside, directing them to gather intelligence, intimidate witnesses, and even orchestrate efforts to discredit his accusers.
I mean, it's a legitimate concern. No judge wants to wake up and read the headlines the next day. Oh, they treated this guy special and they gave him bond, and now he's gone and he fled from justice. So that's what's in the back of most judges' minds. On the other hand, we deal with cases where clients have significant funds sometimes. Sometimes where there's money, you can craft a unique solution. Years ago it was the ankle bracelet and the ankle monitor.
The accusations don't stop there. Prosecutors have also flagged a suspicious pattern of social media activity tied to Diddy's family and inner circle. Around his birthday in November 2024, his children posted a series of videos portraying him as a loving father and a misunderstood figure. On the surface, these posts seemed like ordinary family support, but prosecutors argue they were part of a carefully orchestrated effort to sway public opinion and even influence judicial sentiment. According to court documents, Diddy monitored the analytics of these posts from behind bars, allegedly coordinating with his family on how to maximize their impact and control the narrative surrounding his case. This level of involvement, even from within prison walls, raises serious questions about the extent of his reach and the strategies being deployed to shape public perception.
It's just interesting to me that with all the money he has and all the resources he has, he couldn't craft some solution that lets him be under some form of house arrest. And again, it sounds like special treatment, but the truth of the matter is, to incarcerate somebody like him is expensive to all of us. We're taxpayers, and he's got to have unique situations. You can't put him in general population where everyone wants a piece of him and everyone wants to be his friend and everyone.
But the most explosive allegations center on claims that Diddy has been leveraging his influence to target key witnesses in his trial. Rumors have swirled that he's working with outside operatives to locate and intimidate individuals who could testify against him. While no direct evidence links him to physical harm, the whispers of hired hitmen and shadowy threats have only deepened the cloud of suspicion surrounding him. For many, the notion that Diddy would use his wealth and connections to protect himself at any cost isn't just speculation. It's entirely plausible. The question remains, how far would he go to ensure his empire stays intact?
Anything's possible, right? But now this judge has an even harder time, I think, because the past judge locked him up, didn't let him out, and he's still there available for trial. If the new judge lets him out on bond and something goes wrong, and this isn't the analysis that I'm proud to make, right? We shouldn't be saying, well, judges are worried about their own skin and how they look if something bad happens. And maybe this new judge has a broader view and says, you know what?
One particularly chilling account comes from a former associate who claims they were approached by intermediaries acting on Diddy's behalf. According to this individual, they were offered a substantial sum of money to handle a witness expected to testify in the trial. While the associate ultimately refused and went public with their story, the mere suggestion that Diddy could be orchestrating such a scheme has sent shockwaves through both the legal community and the public. Prosecutors have not officially confirmed these allegations, but the timing of the claim closely aligns with their repeated warnings about Diddy's ability to manipulate and obstruct the justice process. Adding to the intrigue is the troubling pattern of witnesses withdrawing their cooperation or altering their statements in recent months. While it's impossible to prove intimidation as the cause, the consistency of these shifts has raised serious concerns. Defense attorneys argue that these changes reflect a natural reassessment by witnesses who realize their claims won't hold up in court. However, prosecutors insist that fear and coercion are far more likely explanations. One prosecutor even described the case as a textbook example of how power and influence can corrupt the pursuit of justice.
Every jail is bad. Some jails are worse than others. And the problem, again, is if you move him, why is he getting special treatment? And maybe he's earned special treatment. Maybe what he's done, maybe he's given so much back to his fans and to the world and to charity that maybe there's a way that it plays out again. But again, to go into court and say this jail is bad, move him to another jail.
The implications of these allegations extend far beyond Diddy himself. If true, they expose a deeply entrenched network of enablers willing to execute his orders, no matter how unlawful or unethical. From family members to employees to fellow inmates, the accusations suggest that Diddy has cultivated a web of loyalists dedicated to shielding him from accountability. This level of organization has led some to draw comparisons between his alleged actions and those of a crime syndicate, with Diddy positioned at the center as the mastermind. If the claims hold weight, they don't just point to one man's desperate bid for power. They reveal an entire system operating in the shadows to protect him at any cost.
There's no way we can't move the general population. Would he be at risk? Sure, he'd be at risk. There's so many people that have nothing to lose, right? They're going to be in jail the rest of their life. They've got nothing to. They want their 15 minutes of fame. They were friends with Diddy, or they hurt Diddy, or they killed Diddy, or they did. I mean, there's so many, people in jail that this would be their moment. You can't.
Prosecutors argue that this very network is the reason Diddy cannot be trusted with bail. In their filings, they emphasize his uncanny ability to manipulate others, whether through loyalty, intimidation, or financial incentives. They point to his long history of alleged witness tampering, stretching from the early days of his career to the present, as proof that releasing him would pose an unacceptable risk to the integrity of the trial. Diddy's legal team, however, has fiercely pushed back, dismissing these claims as baseless. They argue that the prosecution is relying on speculation and circumstantial evidence to justify their case, painting their client as a villain without concrete proof. As the battle over his fate intensifies, one question looms. Will the court see Diddy as a man unfairly accused or a mastermind pulling the strings even from behind bars?
To the latest on the arrest of Sean Diddy Combs. This one has so many people talking. The disgraced music mogul facing federal racketeering, conspiracy, and trafficking charges. Both the prosecution and defense teams are set to discuss the next phase of action following the indictment as investigators work to determine potential co-conspirators. But how exactly did we get here?
Diddy's defense attorneys have pushed back against the portrayal of him as a mastermind orchestrating events from behind bars. They argue that allegations of unauthorized calls and incriminating jail cell notes have been exaggerated and taken out of context. According to his lawyers, the notes found in his cell were nothing more than private reflections and brainstorming for his defense, not evidence of a coordinated effort to obstruct justice. Similarly, they claim that any misuse of prison communication systems was unintentional and had no bearing on the case at hand. Still, the sheer volume of allegations has made it increasingly difficult for Diddy to mount a convincing defense in the court of public opinion. With each new story about his alleged attempts to manipulate the legal process, the perception of him as a powerful and untouchable figure has shifted dramatically. For many, the idea of Diddy as a ruthless operator willing to go to any lengths to protect himself feels more plausible than ever. The question now is whether the prosecution's case will be strong enough to prove these claims in court, or if Diddy's legal team can successfully cast doubt on the allegations and turn the tide in his favor.
This is very significant, just from who we associate Diddy being and everything we've seen him do over the decades. Like you said, this is quite the downfall to go from, we saw the mansions back in March that were raided by the feds. So to go from living in those mansions to being in a jail cell right now, I think it really underscores the magnitude of what he's facing and the weight of the federal government.
As the trial date approaches, the stakes couldn't be higher. If the accusations of witness tampering and obstruction are proven, they won't just undermine Diddy's defense. They could lead to additional charges and a significantly harsher sentence for someone who once seemed untouchable. The very real possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars serves as a stark reminder of how quickly power and influence can unravel when faced with mounting allegations.
I think it's to be expected, just the shock of this and the questions about what is ahead of us. How long is he going to be in custody? Is this an R. Kelly situation? Is he going to not get out for a number of years? Is he going to end up serving a long-term prison sentence from this? Or does he have a chance of beating these charges at a trial that could come, within the next 2 years?
But beyond the legal battles, the rumors and speculation have already taken a significant toll on Diddy's legacy. The man once celebrated as a trailblazer and mogul now faces a reputation in tatters, with each new allegation casting a darker shadow on his actions and character. Whether or not the claims about hitmen and intimidation can be proven, the damage to his public image is undeniable. The question now isn't just whether Diddy will beat the charges against him, but whether he'll ever be able to reclaim even a fraction of the respect and admiration he once commanded. Yet, for all the rumors and accusations, one thing remains unclear. How much of this is true, and how much is the result of a media frenzy eager to see a giant fall? Is Diddy truly the mastermind behind a web of criminal activity, or is he being unfairly targeted by those who want to take him down? As the trial looms closer, the answers to these questions will not only determine Diddy's future, but also shape the legacy he leaves behind. The story of Sean Diddy Combs takes a darker turn when we peel back the layers of his past. To many, he was the charismatic figure who revolutionized hip-hop, a man who turned Bad Boy Records into a household name and built an empire that spanned music, fashion, and media. But as the allegations against him continue to mount, a different narrative begins to emerge. A tale of power wielded recklessly, of intimidation, and of an empire built on more than just talent. Could the unraveling of Diddy's present legal troubles be connected to a history of control, manipulation, and a willingness to do whatever it takes to stay at the top? Let's dig deeper into the rise and fall of one of the most polarizing figures in the entertainment industry.
But there's also strategic reasons for the prosecutors to want him to have co-defendants, because right now he hasn't waived his right to a speedy trial, which would force prosecutors to take up the trial pretty quick, which they actually might not be ready to do. But if they supersede him and have co-defendants with him, it makes it a lot easier to pursue a trial continuance without him waiving his speedy trial right.
Long before the lawsuits and federal investigations, Diddy had already earned a reputation as a man who didn't play by the rules. He grew up in Mount Vernon, a suburb of New York City, where life was anything but easy. His father, Melvin Combs, was involved in the infamous drug trade of the 1970s, working closely with notorious figures like Frank Lucas. When Melvin was fatally shot, Diddy was just a toddler. This loss, coupled with the hardships of growing up in a single-parent household, seemed to fuel his drive to succeed. Over the years, he's spoken about his determination to escape poverty, famously recalling an incident from his childhood where he woke up with roaches crawling on his face. He vowed in that moment to never live that way again.
He was when I was 3 years old. I don't have like a lot of memories of my father. You know, they say, you know, you can't miss something you never had. So that's only a little ways right, you know. There's definitely been times as I've gotten older that I've missed my father.
That drive took him to Howard University, where he studied business, but left early to pursue a career in the music industry. By the early 1990s, he had landed an internship at Uptown Records, where he quickly made a name for himself as a talent scout with an eye for future stars. However, Diddy wasn't content with being someone else's employee. In 1993, he founded Bad Boy Records, and with that, his rise to fame truly began. Bad Boy Records quickly became a cultural phenomenon, thanks largely to Diddy's partnership with the notorious B.I.G., one of hip-hop's most iconic artists. Together, they created a wave of hits that dominated the charts and reshaped the genre. But behind the scenes, the story wasn't all glitz and glamour. Even in those early days, rumors of intimidation and strong-arm tactics began to surface. Industry insiders whispered about how Diddy allegedly used his influence to control artists and suppress competition. Some even claimed that his success wasn't just built on talent and hard work, but on fear and manipulation.
So I learned early in life that there's only two ways out of that, dead and in jail. And, you know, it made me work that even harder. So sometimes you can't just answer why things happen. But
one of the most infamous incidents tied to Diddy's early career was the East Coast-West Coast feud, a rivalry that defined 1990s hip-hop and ultimately led to the untimely deaths of both the notorious B.I.G. and Tupac Shakur. While Diddy has always denied any involvement in the violence that erupted during this time, his name has repeatedly been linked to the chaos. In 2008, the Los Angeles Times published a controversial article alleging that Diddy and his associates were involved in a 1994 robbery and shooting that targeted Shakur. Although the paper later retracted the story after discovering fabricated evidence, the damage to Diddy's reputation had already been done. For many, the incident reinforced the idea that Diddy's rise to the top wasn't as clean as it appeared.
I think that even if we don't know our parents, we still have their DNA in us. You know, we have their genes, and I have his hustler's mentality, his hustler spirit, his drive, his determination, you know, his swag.
As Bad Boy Records grew, so did Diddy's business ventures. He launched Sean John, a clothing line that quickly became a fashion staple, and entered into a lucrative partnership with a brand of premium vodka, among other endeavors. By the early 2000s, he was one of the wealthiest figures in entertainment, with a net worth placing him among the elite. But even as his empire expanded, trouble seemed to follow him. In 2001, he was arrested after a nightclub incident in New York City, where shots were fired, leaving 3 people injured. While Diddy was ultimately acquitted of all charges, his then-girlfriend, Jennifer Lopez, ended their relationship shortly after the trial, citing the intense media scrutiny as a factor. The incident marked the beginning of a pattern. Diddy often found himself embroiled in controversy, but he always seemed to come out unscathed.
We are not done. This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly.